Odata. Now, if you haven't heard about what Odata is, when we work with data inside of a thin client kind of an application like the web, how do you get to that data? What do? You write on a JavaScript, right? Or you write some code behind it. You've got some managed code running on a server that maybe is acting as your proxy to go out to the database. And so it knows how to connect to the database and how to get that information and how to push it down to your ASP.NET page or your Silverlight page. Maybe in Silverlight you're taking advantage of different service calls that you can make to go out and connect to data. What Odata is it's a standard for making a data source, a bunch of entities available to you in an XML or JavaScript object notation kind of a way. If you go out to odata.org, and odata.org has a lot of information about what the specification actually looks like. How many people have heard of Odata? Show of hands. So, very few people, but if you haven't seen it, there's a number of producers out here that you can go out and get information using Odata. So, for instance, anyone have a Netflix account? If you go out to Netflix.com, you can see the movies you got. And my kids like to go out and watch different shows. It's like, okay, well, what movies do you want to see? So you click on Netflix.com, it'll go out and open up Netflix. And you say, you like Dick Van Dyke. You can see what my kids are watching. But I hardly ever go to this site. What I go to is what's called odata.netflix.com. Because what this has got, and if I go out here and I pull up, say I want to say / titles and $top is equal to 10, and pull back the top 10 titles. What it gives me is an XML representation of the movies that are available at Netflix. You click these entries, you got 10 there, and the top is equal to 10. And that's because this URL at the top, this address scheme, lets me go out and query and work with their database of things. So I can pull back one record, I can pull back 5 records, I can skip records. I can find out information about movies. So for instance, if I want to go out here and I say titles, the first title here is, has an ID of something like this. So if I copy this and I say titles, and I pull back a specific one and paste it in, it's going to go back and pull back a particular movie. Kind of cool, right? So this is just XML. And I have to know that using the .NET framework that I've got this thing called linked XML, I can go out and parse this and pull that data in and use it inside of my application. However, I felt like it would be kind of fun to go out and do. So this is a movie called Crossing Over. And if I want to see the cast, you can click on the end and say cast, and it'll show you the cast of all the persons, the people that are in this. You've got Harrison Ford, you've got Ashley Judd, you've got a bunch of different people that are part of this. But if I'm interested in what movies, say, one of these is done, if I want to pull back the actual movie details and the cast, I can do and $expand, and $expand is equal to cast. So this is going to pull back not just the movie information, but also all the cast information about those movies. Now, you might say, okay, well, you got to figure out what that stupid ID is. How do you find a movie using an ID? Well, I actually have all of Netflix's IDs memorized. But if you don't, you can use different query parameters on this. So what I can do is I can pass in a $filter is equal to, and then I can put into this substring of something, and I can then, using this filter, find all movies that have the word hunt in them. Do we all look for hunt? Like the Hunt for Red October? Let's see, that's a bunch of them. Let's just search for October. So go October. And so here's all the movies that have October in them. ID9, beta software. Actually, it's not even beta. So, send information. You guys ever look at that? Do you know what happens when you click on the send? So when Microsoft gets poked in the... No. Share the pain. I've got another whole talk I can talk about what that actually does. Someone back in Redmond just got a message saying that this application crashed. It got added to a list, and I could go out using the Windows error reporting and actually pull back all the crashes my application has had based on the certificate and the code that I wrote. So I can literally go out and pull that up and then see all the crashes, and it'll give you metrics on what caused it to crash, so you can find the biggest problem of your software, and then be able to reverse engineer it. Another whole talk. But the idea here is that I can use this OData query syntax to get movie information, be able to search and find things. Yeah?
How are you writing those query strings? Is there a syntax that you
Yep.
use?
So if you go up to odata.com or .org, there's a document that has all the syntax. So you've got your filter, you've got your where, you've got your top, you've got your expand, you've got the ability to do counts and aggregations. There's a lot of things you can do. It's almost like a SQLite, like a where clause that I'm building on this. It's like, ooh, I can do this? What's cool about this is that I can take any kind of a client that can run an HTTP request and use this to get data now. Instead of being tied to going out and having this particular technology to get to the data, I can use anything. I could use jQuery. So for instance, the other thing I got to show you is that Netflix isn't the only OData source that's out there. If you click on producers, what you'll find is that we've got companies that have bought into this. Every SharePoint 2010 site has an OData endpoint. All of your list data available as an OData endpoint. WebSphere, IBM WebSphere, their product implemented the OData endpoint because they thought that was pretty cool. SQLite, I'll show you a little later how you set that up. But if you go down below, you'll see other sites that are currently on OData. Facebook, eBay, Netflix, PDC, Pluralsight, and more are joining up every day. Now there's also a project Microsoft had called Dallas, which we renamed, and the PDC announced it's called the data or the marketplace data market, which is a bunch of OData endpoints coming from the government and other places where we got all this publicly available data. So if you want to get census information or crime statistics, you can use OData to go out and query for a given neighborhood and lat long and be able to pull back information about that. But the idea is that you can go and build applications that mash together and pull that data in.